Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I had a few plans to repot. I figured I'd hop on camera and just, document the whole process. Quick run through first. Up front, we're just gonna switch the substrate out on this. What is this? It's a Woohoo cross. It's a Woohoo's First Night crossed with a Bessier Carla. So I will put a close up here. Boom. That's number one. Number two, let me move my table. Number two isn't necessarily a repot. All I'm gonna do is add a collar to my sub poppy Carlaza from Rousseau. She's spitting out a new leaf, so I'm really excited. Hopefully she keeps up the purple venation from the last leaf. And then the last thing that we're gonna do, we're gonna upsize the pot for my Forgetti Ace of Spades crossed with an unknown from Steve's Leaves. She's also spinning out a new leaf, but it's really floppy. I don't know why. I watered them and added silica into the last, watering that I did. I might have to do a little bit of extra silica for this one specifically, or I might have done it wrong. I don't know. But it definitely needs a little bit of help, and I'm hoping that a repot will, give it that upsize that it needs. Let's get into it. So, like I said, first one that we're gonna do is just gonna be like a substrate switch. This one is like I said, Woohoo's First Night crossed with a Bessier Carla cross. It doesn't mark whether it's a Carla Woo 1, a Carla Woo 2, or something else. I know that Woohoo has some pretty nice Carlas. They had some seedlings out the other day, but I didn't buy any. I'm on my plant ban. So let's go ahead. I'm going to use the pot that we have right now just to sub this out. Now I did let this soak last night because I knew I was doing this repot. I'm probably going to keep this pot. Or you know what, actually, yeah, we'll keep this pot. But basically, how I just get them out, I just want to kind of tease the roots a little bit, get all of Woohoo's substrate out. Nothing wrong with their mix, but I just, for my growing conditions, I want to get them in something that I'm familiar with. So that way everybody has the same mix. Oops, some roots are falling off. Okay. And then let's get this peat stuff out. There's a big juicy root coming up out of the peat. Oh yeah. Ooh, we got some roots coming loose. Yep, got a root loose. Now if I really wanted to be extra, what I would do is go ahead and rinse this off. Really not that important to me right now. I'm gonna pluck off some of the tinier leaves just so have some extra room in the pot. There is a pretty big root coming out and it looks very fresh. So I'm hopeful for this. And you know what? We're gonna keep this guy aside because I'm gonna use the Carlaza's pot for that. So we're gonna do the Ace, the Forgetti Ace of Spades. Let's just put this in that Patricia pot. Let's do this. Okay, on deck next is my Forgetti Ace of Spades unknown. What I'm going to be doing here is just upsizing from this smaller orchid pot to a bigger, just clear plastic pot. So I modified this Rousseau collar to fit. I gotta find where I modified it. There it is. Okay, and then as soon as I brought this guy out, of course it fell and one of the leaves is damaged, but it is what it is. There's 2 plants in the pot, so it's not like I'm not going to get any other leaves. There was a root growing through the opening here. So yeah, I mean, Rousseau doesn't make a smaller collar than one for a 6-inch pot. So all I did was kind of add a slit that I cut myself just so I could make the collar a little bit smaller and not have to upsize the pot while it was still growing its roots. in the smaller orchid pot. Okay, so we're gonna give this bad boy a squeeze. Hope that these roots come out of the pot nicely. And let's give them a tug. Ooh, that was clean. That was a lot easier than I expected. This guy really desperately needs a repot. That looks pretty good. Boom. There it is. Here's the floppy emergent. I really have no idea what's going on with that. It might be trying to twist. It might be trying to do something, but you know, it is floppy. And because I just put silica in my watering mix, my fertilizer mix, I'm a little confused. Because honestly, like I said in the first video, you know, from what I read online, silica is really supposed to help with the plants harden off their cell walls to make them a lot more rigid. And this is the opposite of that. It's the floppiest emergent leaf that this plant has put out. So not really sure what to do with that, but we'll play it by ear. All right, now that I got the ace of spades, spaghetti eye unknown out of the orchid pot, I'm gonna move the sub poppy Carlaza over to this. I originally wasn't thinking about giving it an upsize, but just the way the roots are developing, I think it is, you know, a little desperate for some more size. I don't have any bigger pots to give it like the bucket method. That's where you kind of put an anthurium in like a 1 or 2 size pot jump, and it really grows up the leaf size from there. I have another one of these. I think this is a 5-inch pot, but I think that might be too big of a jump. I think these two would be good. So, I mean, that's a pretty considerable, I can't really tip that. That's a pretty considerable jump right there. So without wasting any time, let's get straight into it. This one is also putting out a new leaf, so I really want to be careful to not disturb the roots. But I mean, in a repot, you're gonna mess with the roots anyway. So now this is one that I didn't fully transfer over to my mix when I got it. So part of the mix that's in the pot here is still what Tyler from Rousseau keeps his seedlings in. I really just, you know, left it straight in the pot that it came until I had to size it up to that pot. Okay, the sub poppy Carlaza is in the pot. We're gonna go ahead and throw the extender on. Same process as a bigger pot, but with this one I wrap it around a little bit more because, like I said, you know, he doesn't make one for a 4-inch pot, so you gotta make do. And what the collar will do is hopefully help activate some of the root nodes, or I guess the starting roots, that are higher up in the plant outside of the pot to give it a little bit more support. That'll also really help if I plan to chop this plant, which, I mean, I do at some point, not yet, but once, you know, this collar portion is established and I can up-pot it to something that's a little bit bigger, there's possibility for a chop and prop there. Boom. Give it a little bit of extra room to breathe. It'll really help put out that new leaf. I don't know how close that is. Last thing we gotta do for this quick little video today, we are gonna throw that Woohoo's First Night Bess Carla into this new pot here. So switching my plants over to my mix is something that I'm relatively new with. I haven't been doing that in the past. Like I said, with the sub poppy, you know, I usually would just leave them in something. And you know, with this guy, after letting him sit and put a leaf out, I really wasn't happy with the size up. I feel like, you know, between the last leaf, this last leaf here, and this new leaf, there isn't really a big jump. But you know, with the Woohoo's crosses that I just recently got, they're already putting out a new leaf after 2-3 weeks of being in my mix, and working with the fertilizer mix that I use. So You know, what works for them might work for them in their conditions, but what works for me in my conditions. So let's give this a pot, a little squeeze, try to get everything settled. Boom. And that should be a little bit deeper of a repot too. So, you know, that new root that was coming out can get a little bit of size. But there's that. She's in. I'm really hoping that this starts to pull on some more of the pink Carla venation. I'm seeing a little bit of it here, you know, with the new emergent, but with the last hardened off leaf, it's not. Let me see if you can see that. Boom. And then this is the last leaf before that. Boom. Not sure what'll happen with that, but I am hopeful. All right, guys, you know, that's the video. Really quick repot today. Didn't really have much to talk about. I got a lot of stuff on the plans for later today. So just figured I'd get on here real quick, make a video, and then head out. Just to recap, we repotted the Ace of Spades Spaghetti Unknown from Steve's Leaves into a bigger pot. I believe it's a 5-inch pot. We then took the orchid pot that was in and put the sub Poppy Carlaza in that with a Rousseau extender. And then with the 3-inch pot that was in, I put my Woohoo's First Night crossed with a Carla Bess or Bess Carla. You know, just quick pot shuffling to give everybody a little bit of extra room. I hope you enjoyed the video. Remember to like and comment. And if you're not subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I would really appreciate that. All right, guys, have a good one.